Hello, everybody. Dorothy here. We're going to talk about the astrology for the next couple of days. So I'm going to include the day I put this up, which is September 27th and 28th and 29th. And we just had a warning sign with the blue jays across the window. All right. Pay attention, I think, is what it's letting us know. I'm going to share my screen with you. But before I do that, I just want to remind us that I will also pull a card from this deck. And we're going to roll some Astro dice too. So just to get extra content after we hear what the astrology is presenting to us. So now I will share my screen. So those of you who are amateur or practicing astrologers, we'll say practicing astrologers, you can see what I'm looking at. And those who are not, don't you get overwhelmed with the charts in front of us. You just listen to the words, and I will tell you what things mean when I start poking and pointing at things. All right. Terrific. So I wanted to start off today's video. And again, I'm going to do for the next couple of days on the 27th, which is the day I load this at 9 in the morning, Eastern Daylight Time. We had Mercury making the exact trine aspect to Pluto. And that happens. This is the second time it's happened because Mercury is now retrograde. The first time it happened, so get out your journals or your calendar book, was August 22nd. All right. And so here it is making the connection today on September 27th. And the third connection, because Mercury will go direct soon, the third connection will be October 6th. What does this mean? That's the astrology. What this represents is you, me, all of us, we're focusing on information. That's Mercury in Virgo, information, content, what we gathered, the information, the knowledge, whatever was happening around the 22nd of August. Now Mercury is back to the same position, connecting to Pluto once again. That gives us this opportunity to revisit and revise information and content that we were putting together back then. Personally, I still need to go look and see what August 22nd held for me. And I'm going to look right now. Yep, lots of clients. Lots of talking, lots of clients. That's just my work and focusing on the details. What is it for you? So where are you honing in on details and making some adjustments? And when we make these adjustments, thanks to Pluto in Capricorn, it gives us an opportunity to evolve the way we think or the way we process something. So that's what this aspect is all about. Focusing on the details and recognizing where we need to make some shifts or changes or rethink things so we can continue to evolve and transmutate whatever it is that we are working on. The details of all of that always depend on what is going on personally in your own life. Okay. Terrific. So remember, August 22nd was the first connection. Today, September 27th, was connection number 2, and connection number 3 will be October 6th. Coming up on Mars trine Saturn. Now, this exact aspect, this trine, air trine, happens early in the morning on September 28th. It's just before 2 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So depending on where you live, it's the 27th or the 28th, early in the morning, later in the day. Needless to say, adjust for your own time zone. I am Eastern Daylight Time. Mars at 19 degrees of Gemini. 19 Gemini is in highly sensitive point still because we had an eclipse there, June 10th, 2021. That was the beginning of wake up. What was going on here for you? Go back to that time frame, June 10th, 2021, and process and look and see what was happening for you. All right. That's the first thing that you would want to do. Now, since Mars is going to move across 19 degrees 3 times because it will be retrograde the end of October, and we're going to feel it 3 different times. I think I have the dates for you. Yes, I do. What it represents with Mars in Gemini, I mean, this is my son, 19 Gemini, busy as ever, constantly just fielding just as a business person and a public figure here on social media and etc. I'm always fielding questions after questions after questions from just new people, and that's perfectly fine. But I have to sort of hone in on some things, right? So I'm feeling a lot of information is coming at me. There's a lot of activity. You may be feeling that too. Mars is always about the action. Gemini is, again, about the information that we are receiving and researching and gathering. Sounds like Mercury retrograde, right? Because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So it will sound like that. So the point between here, Mars at 19 Gemini, look back to June 10, 2021, see what you were beginning, what was going on, what contracts you were signing, what information you were gleaning and getting from people, things, situations. Making this trine to Saturn. So Saturn at 19 Aquarius, this absolutely represents, bringing in some self-discipline if we can. And since Saturn's retrograde, it could be that we were overly disciplined even at some point in time. Whether we were or not, you will know that in your own world. So these guys together, these two in this trine, air trine, gives us a fantastic opportunity to take a lot of thoughts and ideas that are bouncing around in our head, put them down on paper, and then start to manage them, because they will make the connection 2 more times. And so Mars will make that connection again on November 30th. And by then, Saturn will be direct. And then the third connection, when Mars will be at 19 Gemini in a direct motion, will be March 1st of 2023. So I want you to, I'm going to reiterate, June 10, 2021, what was begun? We might not have known back then, but you look at it now and you say, oh, I see what happened. Hindsight is easy to see what was going on. This Mars connecting at 19 Gemini, trining Saturn on September 28th, immediately will start to show us where there's so much content, so much information. How can I pull all this together and become more organized and more enlightened? And what can I do with this content and information and just really get it down on paper? November 30th, Mars will be retrograde. Saturn will be direct by then. These are the 2 malefics, but they are in an air trine. So it's all about the intellectual, analytical thinking and processes. And then March 1st is the last connection that they make to each other. There's always more. This is what Patreon looks like, but you guys get this way ahead of time. You get it ahead of time so you can plan. Here on YouTube, I do it right then and there because Patreon is a donation-based platform. So they get it early. Please join us there. I would love to have you. It's a great way to learn to read the ephemeris. What's the ephemeris? There's an advertising for the Llewellyn book, but there's plenty of good books out there that you can use. And, I can, see if I can find a page for you. I got all this stuff highlighted. It shows you daily transits, and you can follow through and learn to read transit charts. That's what we do on Patreon on tier 3. And that's what we do here. All right, what's next? The final thing I want to talk about is Thursday, September 29th, and that is Venus leaves Virgo and enters Libra. Again, this is also an aspect that happens early before sunrise. And Venus will be in Libra for approximately 3 weeks. And it's going to also highlight the fact the sun is in Libra as well. They are coming together. Beautiful Venus is in the underworld, being reinitiated. Whatever she doesn't need is being burned off by the sun, right? So we get to really figure out what it is that's important for us in our own partnerships and relationships. That's so important. And if that's not a thing that is important to you, because, we all have partnerships and relationships of some kind. But sometimes it's important just to know, it's like, to be able to identify if you're getting what you need. Is life harmonious and balanced? So important to pay attention to that too. When Venus enters the sign of Libra, and she's beauty, and she's love, and she's relationships, and she's harmony. And there's a lot of disharmony in the world right now. And so to have Venus in that sign is just fantastic. And it feels absolutely wonderful. Hey, let's step aside and do one more thing. Excuse me. Let's see when Venus will be around 19 degrees. Let's go ahead a week. This is Solar Fire software. All right. By then, Mars is at 23. But we do have approximately a grand trine in the middle of October. There it is. Yes, let's get it. Come on. Saturn's kind of far away to be part of the grand trine, but it's there. We have we have a lot of planets together in air. What do we have for the date? This is, oopsies. Hello. Here we are. This is mid-October. I don't know what happened there. Saturn's a little wide, but it's still a big grand trine in air. Fantastic. That's mid-October. We'll talk about that later. I'm going to stop my share. All right, that's what we got going on. Let's roll the dice. We'll pick the card. So what we do here, if you're new, welcome. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're going to roll the Astro dice. One is planets, sign, houses. Just you can ask your own question. I'm just going to say, what else do we want to know about the rest of the week from Spirit? And I have Jupiter in Aquarius in the 4th house. Well, isn't that interesting? You know, the 4th house, we know it's home and family, but it's also our own psychological base, you know, what we were taught, you know, what our family, our psychological lineage, even in our physical lineage too. So, and, ancestral things, but what's going on at home. So Jupiter in Aquarius, that represents to me an expansion of freedom at home for some of us. So the added content here would be, how do we process this one? So Jupiter is learning and education. It's also being truthful and honest, but also expansion in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius, of course, is astrology. So, hey, come and learn astrology. One more day, we have a deadline for a beginner class. So that's on my website. You're welcome to join me there. But Jupiter in Aquarius, you know, finding groups and like-minded people to be part of an association with, and then you can feel like they can become family. So if you've been waiting to join a group, now's the time, whatever kind of group that is, because you're going to find your people. That's also the 4th house, my family, not always our genetic family, but family is family. That is what that shows us right there. So connecting in a new way, Aquarius, expanding what we love, what we want to do, finding our tribe, finding our family. I love it. And even learning and healing from that psychological baggage that families carry on. Don't we always carry that on? Yes, we do. I pulled the card, the talking stick. I love this card. This is a fantastic card. You all sit in a group. This is wonderful. Whoever's holding the talking stick is the one that gets to speak their truth. And all others present get to listen. No rebuttals. It is honestly, that's Jupiter in Aquarius too, speaking our truth, letting that come out. Jupiter is always about its expansion, but it's about the truth speaking. And how does that go along with the astrology that we have going on? Mercury is about talking, and Mercury squares Saturn. Mercury squares Pluto, and Mars is in Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and we pick the talking stick. Yeah. Jupiter in Aquarius in the 4th house. There's so much here that is all about communicating and sharing information with those you love, with yourself, understanding yourself, making life choices. Yeah. We can slow down those voices in our head when we have a lot of ideas by just writing them and getting them down, those ideas and those thoughts down on paper. I have a notebook right there full of ideas every time I think of something. And every once in a while I'll go through it and it's like, oh, look, I did do that. So what are your ideas? How do you process when you have too many ideas that you just can't go and do all at once? How do you process those? Let me know in the comments below. I will leave us all with that. Thank you guys. Blessings. Namaste.